This show is proudly brought to you by the #Me Network. Access granted.
So shall we start recording then, Mike?
I think we should do this thing.
And 3, 2, 1. Kia ora, and thanks so much for tuning in to episode 38 of Access Granted, our weekly tech and media podcast. I'm Raj, of course, the charismatic one. My background's film, design, media and technology.
And I'm the boring one, Mike, and my background is information wrangling, connecting people and getting things done.
You're right. And you're here because you're a Kiwi that either works in or has a great passion for tech and media in New Zealand.
So episode 38. Later we catch up with Jason Gleeson, co-founder and CEO of newly minted Eightwire. No, not the beer, a whole different company. But first, our focus for the week.
So my focus for the week was, how do I articulate this? I've been in a couple of team meetings actually.
Yep.
So obviously I work in multiple areas of different businesses.
Yeah.
So I'm in a team meeting last night, and another one the other day, and noticed a trend, right? There's always one person in that team, either they just don't quite get it, or they're still hanging on to the past type stuff, or it takes just a lot longer to get them on board, right? And I was talking to one of the people in another team, and they had an issue, and they said, went around the table, and there was about 12 to 15 people around the table.
So an issue, and they went around the table looking for solutions.
Help me. What do I do? Help me, right?
Yeah.
And everyone, in fact, every single person had an idea and sort of almost pitched it to this person.
Yeah.
And they've always just said, no, I've done it. No, I don't know. They won't
So
work.
the person who had the problem was saying...
Yes, shooting everyone down, basically. And so that I was sitting there going, wait, I've heard that on The Simpsons before. And that quote came to me, I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas, So I don't know what to do with these people. What do you do to say, look, you just got to give one of these a go, or try and evaluate it without just going, no? That was my focus. I was like, how do I get these guys to just... They basically want to get their whatever they're doing done, but they seem to find themselves at some sort of roadblock. And so everyone else... did a nice positive way. Say, what about this? What about this? Nothing really happened in the end. And then, right at the end, nothing does happen. They'll disband and go off and come back again probably another month's time. There still won't be a solution.
Does it matter to the rest of the people if it gets sorted or not?
Sort of.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, it does, but it's not their responsibility. But they're all helping with some suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, the person actually might be saying, I have actually tried that. My computer doesn't work. Have you tried rebooting it? I have actually tried doing that. So it could be valid, and you just got 12. Have you tried rebooting it? If it's slightly more complex than that, I imagine it is. There's two parts. One is the thing that you tried. When did you try it, and was it exactly the same circumstances?
That's right.
I did that 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Life moves on.
Yeah, we've tried that. But we didn't get a time frame, but usually it was within the last few years, but not recently, recent times. So this particular team has been brought together only within a year or two.
Yeah.
And they've been going a long time.
Yeah.
It's 50 years, this organisation. And so they might have tried something in the past, sure, but they haven't tried it with these people.
Yeah.
That'll get it done, maybe,
Yes.
in these different circumstances.
So
but they still hang on to we've tried it. We tried it once, so why would we try it again, sort of thing, It sort of holds people up, I reckon.
Yeah, like country music and incest.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Just try it once and that's it.
Let's all think about that for a moment.
So there is in the circumstances and times, the classic, all the different type of people. And if it's a computery thing, we've moved on. Yes,
that's right. Yes.
We can now do things we couldn't do before.
Yeah.
So tease that out. And the other one is for that person, or to someone to challenge that person to say, and that's, you tried that before. What is different about what that person just said to you, or what little nuggets did you hear that actually you could take out of it? Because the whole idea might actually not be right, and that person might be going, that's not going to work. But there might be something in there that you can go,
all be bad, right?
Yeah, that bit, plus that idea number 7, those two together, now that's interesting. So try and get the person not to say no, but go, well, is there anything in this that you could think about? Yeah. To stop them saying no. It's to get them to
just
think
a straight no, flat out no from some people, and
And I think the issue that if people do that is you ask 3 times, and the next time you ask after that, if you said no, you're just going to get people going, oh, whatever.
No one's going to
care.
submit any ideas, are they?
I don't care about your problems anymore because I tried.
Yeah.
So the ultimate fail for this is probably for the person who is asking.
Well, in some cases, I wonder if it's a change of ownership of that particular project or a role that may help move things on. I don't know.
They're asking stuff that's out of their pay scale or out of their brain length.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, fuck that, you don't.
But they're tasked with the job of doing it, right? But
Yeah.
they can't for some reason. And when they get the suggestions, it doesn't filter in. Maybe it just doesn't quite get through. So I'm wondering if they're just in the wrong role or that's the wrong project for them. I don't know.
Maybe.
There's that thing pops up too, but most of the time it's just, hey, why don't you just listen for a minute? You know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think, and you do need to guide people through that. Geeks are very, very renowned for doing that. I tried that.
Yeah.
Well, you tried it on a ZX81 back in 1981.
Your screen was green.
We've moved on, and we have moved on. So let's try it again with different tools and a different approach and different learnings. The one is she looking for a particular? Oh, haha. Now you and I are both married as well.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm aware.
Yes, in this circumstance, there is the point where people actually just talk and they don't want the solution.
Oh,
They just want
true.
to get it out of their system.
Yeah. But in this case,
It was.
they do need a solution
Yeah.
because eventually they'll need to do something.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It wasn't
you-
just venting. Yeah, you're
If
right.
all you youngins out there, and it's particularly a male-female thing,
Yeah, you get to shut up and listen sometimes.
shut
right?
up and listen.
Yeah.
Let
Well,
it-
this one, she actually was actively, hey, I need some ideas.
Yeah, no.
When they flipped the matter, it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Oh well, there you go. I
Yeah,
reckon
it's just one of those things
you
that
need to
sound-
guide that person
Yeah.
into a little bit of. Well, what about the circumstances? Is the key one.
Yeah.
You tried it when, with who,
Yeah.
with what technology, with what processes.
And then what happened? You know,
And what
we don't know any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why did it fall over on its ass, or why did it go okay? We don't know.
Yeah,
We just
exactly.
don't know.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. So yeah.
There's your focus for the week,
There's
buddy.
the focus of the week. Is sort some people out.
Yeah, cool.
Right.
And now we used to do events, didn't we? And
Yes.
we don't
Back in the
anymore.
day of 2 weeks ago, we used to do events.
Yes, and we don't. And I've noticed that the beginning of this year has been full of events. Of course, being someone who's facilitating events, that's all you ever see. When you buy a new Volvo car, all you see on the roads are Volvo cars.
That's right.
And I think the best way for people to do that is that we will just tweet them.
Yeah.
There's so many things happening, particularly in Auckland at the moment. Really busy in Auckland. A lot of events
So
going
on
on.
our Access Granted NZ handle, we usually beam out something about those, don't we?
So if you want to keep up with all events, we just tweet them as we see them, as they come along. So go to our Twitter handle, as I say, Access Granted NZ. Follow us there, and you'll get to see all the events. And there is a lot at the moment.
Pause for a quick sip of your beverage and action, Mike.
That's you.
Action, right. Right. Jason Gleeson, right? We
Yes.
caught up with Jason Gleeson to
Did.
talk about Eightwire, which is a relatively new company born when 2 consultants decided they were not going to do the same tedious manual data shifting, just get ready for the client's needs, blah, blah. Let's automate it. Let's see how they went.
Right, so before we start, we're in an unusual place. This is
Oh, in a satellite store somewhere.
Satellite Store. We're in what is this place called?
Victoria Street Cafe.
Victoria Street Cafe. And again, this was the person we're chatting with today. It was their choice, which is fantastic. And who we're chatting today? We're sitting here with Jason Gleeson from Eightwire. No G. 8Wire. So the reason we got 8Wire or 8Wired, of course, is there is a beer company, brewing company that does one. But Jason doesn't do that. Give us a quick. Before we do that, Raj has got a special
Well, the
question
special
for you.
question is, what makes you happy?
What makes me happy? What makes me happy, I would say, through anything I've done, is building something. It's creating something. It's seeing something I've made and going, cool, I made that, and people are using it, and it's helping them in some way. So, from in a workspace, in a one of my favorite things to do outside of work is cooking, and part of that is just watching people eat something I've made and kind of going, hey, I like this, or, ooh, that was, don't do that again.
Experimental dishes are always hard ones, aren't they? Yeah.
So you're happy with any reaction, but
Positive reactions are good, or negative ones as well, to know not to do that again. Yeah, it's
and so you make things now. Obviously, you don't sell your cooking skills.
no.
And as we worked out, you don't sell your brewing skills, of which you may have lots, but you do sell your data, knowledge, consultancy skills. Well, you've now come out of consultancy a while ago and into a product. So you want to give a history of, well, tell us what Eightwire does.
Sure.
And then how we got there.
Okay. Sure. So basically, Eightwire is a software as a service product that automates moving and managing and controlling data between different data systems. So we're not talking applications here, we're talking databases, files, cloud stores, things like that. So data by itself is pretty useless. It's sitting in a database and it stuff kind of goes in and it does what it needs to do, but it doesn't really become useful until you start moving it and you start working with it in some way. So that's where we kind of, my past in business intelligence and data warehouse was needing to get value out of data. And I did the same, what's that line from Einstein, do the same thing over and over again and you'll go crazy. Paraphrasing. But essentially what I did as an IT consultant was spend years trying to get information out of systems. Yeah. And the technology tools we're using just simply didn't cut it. They're slow, they're error prone, they're horrible.
If you could only see his face.
Oh,
you're reliving that past.
I've got 10 years of laying my head on my desk. Just gone through my mind. So basically my co-founder and I, we were working on a project and we met up for lunch and I just made a statement of like, I don't want to be having the same conversation in 10 years of, why doesn't this work? Why is this always a pain? And so we didn't basically realize that like major software vendors aren't innovating in this space. They're the biggest, for one of the products that we use, their biggest feature and the latest release was a working undo button.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is crazy. And
working undo.
Working, yeah.
So they had undo before.
They had one before, but it was just like a picture of an undo, and you'd hit it and nothing would happen. And then you go, I've broken this. So you throw it all away and you start over again, which people kind of stopped doing that in the early 80s when they figured it out.
That's intuitive design, isn't it? You just rolled it out. I mean, first put the picture.
Yeah.
And then put the functionality behind the picture.
Like it,
10 years later, then you put it
That's a bit of a gap, isn't it?
It was a bit of a gap, yeah. So, I found it great because I could like undo things and do it again. I'm like, this is fantastic. That would have saved me, years of work. But so no one was really dealing with the bigger issue, which was how businesses use their data and how they misuse in a way their data and what they do with it. They just, the IT is always holding them back, going, no, you can't do that because we've got to go and build this first. And then there's just so much chaos and pain. And then as consultants, we get called in and we're using the same tool as everybody else is, so we can't really do much better.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's throw the rules out and do something different.
So is Eightwire a BI tool? It's an aimed at end users to query, ask questions, do things with? Eightwire is not the tool, actually, is it?
Eightwire's the company. Conductor is the tool, yeah. It's a tool for customers to basically move data around and see how it's moving, see what's happening to it. So applying, on one hand, the sort of thing that would take hundreds of little development steps to do, for us it's a 5-step wizard.
Can you give me an example of where that would be applied?
Sure. One example is, say, a customer, one of our customers, at the moment, they have a database sitting under somebody's desk that has a whole bunch of, I'm assuming, that has a whole bunch of their product information and their information, quite important stuff, but it's very local, it's just there. Yeah. They also have a website running on the cloud hosted service through Microsoft, which but needs that product information to go into there. So when new products are added, they need to be displayed on the website.
Yeah.
When they're removed, they need to be taken out of the website. You don't want people buying stuff that doesn't exist anymore.
Absolutely.
And so, basically with Eightwire, it's a 5-step process. They take this data from my server under here, push it into the cloud, that cloud data store, and then synchronize them back and forth, and go. And then that's it. Rather than the 3 weeks it would have taken for a developer to go through, build all those little steps, write the code to say, if new row here, put row there, that kind of thing.
So has the person with the database under their desk, they've gone through the wizard to do that?
They could have, or it could be a business analyst that could do it. It really lowers that experience bar from not needing someone like me with years of experience, but actually someone that knows the business data very well can do this. So we're kind of opening it up to a wider group of people. And you don't have this group of skilled ETL developers, doing, being sort of fed requirements and just doing whatever they can try to do.
And of course that's take it into and put it publicly, but you can then join up all of your disparate systems inside your business. I need that information from spreadsheets.
Exactly, spreadsheets.
And take it out there, stick it into this system, and I also need it here. So it's the glue that can...
It's the glue, It brings all these together, and then from a single place you can see what's going on. So the other problem as well is that by having these skilled developers working away in the basement somewhere, is nobody else knows what they're doing. So someone higher up is kind of saying, this is my financial report. It's printed out, so I guess it's okay.
It must be real.
It must be real. It's the sheet of paper looks real. But we're actually being able to expose, or not quite expose, but at least open up what's happening in these systems to a wider audience. So that person can have better confidence that his information is correct.
Yes.
And the numbers aren't funny because a server went quiet for 2 weeks and didn't tell him anything. So, those sorts of things happen all the time.
Very cool.
And another example of that exactly happening is one of our customers is doing an ERP migration. So big, multi-year, massive for the project. And a few weeks into it, we were sort of pulling data out of one system. They said, we just bought another company, and they also have a mainframe with information that we need. How do we, the papers have been signed, but that's it. There's nothing technologically linking those two companies together, so they're completely foreign to each other. By using Connector, you just download this little connector on the other machine, somebody logs in, they can see all the data stores on the other company, they can pick the ones they want to pull out, and it all feeds into a single hub.
Wow.
So it was a 20-minute process, which would have taken...
Big difference.
You're making it sound too simple.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Because I know there's a number of companies in New Zealand that, that's their job. It seems to be to shift data around. And I've always thought, can computers do that? Isn't that what they're built to do?
Absolutely.
And you proved me right,
yes.
Exactly. So how long has Conductor been around for? Or both company and product? Was product before company? Or?
Yeah, product before company, I think. So we first came up with the idea back in about April of 2013. So
2 years. Almost 2 years.
Just under 2 years. Almost 2 years. So we got together. We had a curry and a beer, quite a strong beer, turns out, which may have been where the idea came from.
Eightwire beer?
No, it was a Kingfisher Strong. So.
You remember the beer? That is wonderful.
It was a curry restaurant.
I've been a business plan somewhere. This meeting took place here. We were
actually thinking we've been trying to go back there for our anniversary of the idea day. We went back last year and last April and went and tried to sit at the same table.
What a fantastic idea!
Yeah. And the people that ran the restaurant were just like a bunch of weirdos.
Why?
No, we're not putting a plaque on the wall.
Yet.
Yeah,
exactly. Until suddenly they read about you in the papers and you're making millions and they go, oh, we will put a plaque.
If you mention us in every article.
That's right. So 2 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago. Yep. So we, the idea was that 2 years ago we resigned. We were both working for the same company, but we've worked together off and on for years before that.
So you work consultants outside of the company. You were working for a consultancy firm at the time.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you woke up with a hangover and said, that's it, resigned and did it?
Yeah, so we went in and unfortunately, the date that we resigned on was September 11th, which, as a bit of advice to anyone listening to this, don't make that your company anniversary, because celebrating it is really awkward.
Yeah.
So pick another day. We can't, we have to have an observed company anniversary, because we're like, why are you guys having a party on September 11th? That's just not right. So.
Yeah.
Not right in America, but does it really make a difference here? I don't know.
Well, you see them around, but they're still people still think the finger.
Okay.
Yeah, but
parts of the world will be celebrating. Different reasons.
Different reasons.
Whole different reasons.
Yeah.
So very quickly, 2 years. So you had the product. Did you make the product and then go and peddle it out there, or how? I mean, you're in the business, I suppose, so you know where the pain points are.
So we're very, very close to knowing where these problems are, and also knowing what every competitor in the space does, which is great. So we know exactly where they're dropping the ball, or we know this stuff is great, but it's too expensive for anybody to afford. So we're not going to do that, and also by having our contacts in the wider consulting area in here. So our early customers were people that I've worked with in the past, or that I've known, or
so you had relationships.
We've had relationships.
Not all to jump out there when you first start out.
And the other thing that we've done a lot of as well is working with the kind of companies that we would have worked with before. So we have at the moment as well, we're really trying to grow our business partners. So we're talking to IT services companies that are in the integration space or in that software space and saying, look, this is a mess that you don't want to deal with. We deal with it. We automate it. You guys can look like a champion. So
I work with one of your partners, and they do look like champions when we deal with them. But now I know why.
So that's really our biggest, our main path to market at the moment is talking to consulting companies and saying, they are essentially our customer, so we look after them, and we're providing them all the sort of support that we can to them.
Which become their engine.
Yeah.
Are they on selling then the product, or that's how it's working?
Yes. So they would either be on selling them through their projects, or just using it behind. I mean, they're sort of paying us for the license. So they're just using it behind.
So they're using it to do their goodness.
Yep.
And the client's client doesn't actually know necessarily.
So the client may, hopefully, we get to be big and well known enough that a client's saying, we want you to be using this because we know that it's going to make things really efficient. And hopefully our partners are telling customers that. But mainly at the moment, it's their customers they're just using it for being more competitive, really, and de-risking a very risky, expensive process.
So the data goes obviously from their data places with a connector that you're saying, so you put something onto their server somewhere that says, I know what you've got, and then it goes up into the cloud, and then
back down again,
and then back down to wherever they said, I'd like you to stick this, please.
Exactly.
How's that? So with private companies and commercial companies, all good and well and good, and it's their call. We're sitting in Wellington, the government place. Is this a thing that you can use, or government can't?
It is. We post everything in New Zealand stays in New Zealand. So we are hosted through a New Zealand cloud provider called The Cloud.
They went out. They were up all night drinking Kingfisher, thinking that. At least you know what. At least you know what it is. At least you know what the cloud is. But anyway, it's ours.
We'll take it.
Yes. Of course, I've made the assumption that the cloud equals Amazon or Azure or something, but no, of course, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. It could be a local provider. So they're a Hamilton-based company. Data centers all over the country. And we built this to basically, if you're a New Zealand customer, your data stays in the country. We have other customers overseas. We're not going to ship their data all the way over here and then back again. So we sort of set up little data centers around the US and Europe and Asia to deal with local customers over on that side.
And the technology that you're using, the underlying technology, are you allowed to, not the code, but what is it that you're using, what you're based on?
We're both Microsoft developers from training, so it's all C# and .NET code behind the scenes. We started off using SQL Server databases, but then we looked at a few other. We've actually gone to some other database platforms because like for streaming fast.
Okay.
So. There's been a few changes lately. So we used to be 100% Microsoft, and now it's kind of becoming a bit less and less. But it's
much like Microsoft themselves.
Yeah. Well, they're open sourcing everything.
Yeah.
So
If you want to run Linux on Azure, you go for your life. Yeah.
Well, it's actually the best thing is because Microsoft is open sourcing their the .NET ecosystem. Our agent at the moment is only a Windows server. But by doing that, we can now port. It's great for us because now we can go onto Linux machines. We can go into Unix. We can do more with it.
Wow.
Which previously we were looking at that and just going too hard. We'll do it later. It's actually I think it's fantastic we're doing that.
That's very cool. Yeah, very cool indeed. So overseas, 2.5 years. You've got clients overseas.
Yep, so we have, what we have at the moment is 3 guys that work for a company overseas in the US. One of them's based two of them are based out of Texas. And the idea, we're actually talking with them about setting up a US arm over there. So we're working through the commercials at the moment, but the idea is really that they will be our feet on the ground in the US. They have lots of senior sales experience. They've been in this space. The great thing was when we first started talking with them, and one of the guys said, we knew someone was going to do this. And it was a matter of time because we knew something needed to be done, but we've never been able to do it. We're glad we found somebody. So let's have some fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the next step, or that's your first step to global domination is get out to the US?
Yeah, that's really our plan. Yeah. So, and my accent gives me away as being from over there, so that's my view of my next sort of view on things really is going into the US.
And would you look further field after that? I guess the US is a big place, so you've been here a while.
Yeah, the US is really big. And we're kind of taking that same approach and looking a bit wider as well. So some people we're talking to people in the UK as well, and kind of saying, hey, we can work something with you guys, go and sell and have a great old time, and we'll work something out that's commercially works for everyone. And the back end, this application itself is incredibly scalable. I mean, we just stand up, we get a domain in the country, we stand up some servers in the country, away we go. So it's not a really heavy company. We don't require armies of support people or anything like that. We can just sit here and go, more machine.
Just add water.
And then
More grunt needed, go for it.
Yeah.
Which is the whole SaaS thing, isn't it? That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So, any competitors then? Going back to that, we knew someone who was going to do it. Because I'm a little.
Yeah.
There must be.
The space, the competitive space for years has always been workflow tools used by developers.
Yep.
So it's always been get a tool, get a developer, put them together, and make magic happen. No one's ever really been able to has taken a different approach like this to it, or has certainly been able to scale it.
Yeah.
It's probably only something that's been possible in the last few years. I think we're kind of hitting the limits of sort of what cloud can do and what networks can do at the moment as well. So something coming out a couple of years ago probably wouldn't have really occurred. This is also it's not a space in technology that gets a lot of innovation.
It's shifting down.
It's I kind of refer to it as working class IT. It's manual, labor intensive work.
Shiny stuff, is it? It's not shiny. It's not
shiny.
Consumer focused.
There's nothing social about it. There's nothing.
I've shared my data. Shared your data. Come on.
Yeah.
There you go.
Socializing data.
Socializing data.
This is my data set. Who wants it?
Do it from there to there. No, you're right.
And the funny thing is in the early days, we were afraid of, for ages, for someone saying, well, there's that big red button in Excel. Didn't you see that? Move my data button, or you hit this big button and everything works. But
in Excel, really, everything works.
Exactly. What could possibly go wrong?
But no buttons have come out.
No, nothing's come out yet. So I think it feels like we're at the right point at the right time. I even see there's a couple of startups in the US that are in this space, and they're building tools, and they're bringing in tens of millions in funding. And it's just the same thing. It's the next step, but it's very much an evolutionary step forward. It's still a workflow. It's a bit smarter, but it's not really that smart. I've downloaded demo accounts of them, and they usually fall over when doing a regular Eightwire demo, which is, because we can do things like we can clean and fix data automatically. So one of the key problems with our customers will have is somebody changes something. Somebody makes a mistake. People change date formats. The Americans and the Kiwis have different formats, which causes chaos.
Right and wrong,
right, exactly. Or wrong and right.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And this causes problems all the time. So we can handle that perfectly fine. We can deal with these without even breaking a sweat. And it's things like that no one has really gotten into. I think it's just always been too hard and just difficult to do. So to kind of we'll let the developer do it, and things like that Khushal.
So what do your developers, not your developers, obviously, because your developers love you, but your ex-colleagues, for instance, are they looking at you going, but that's our job?
I thought so. I thought I was going to be really unpopular.
That's right. Let's talk to him.
I'd probably wake up in the morning and a decapitated laptop next to me or something in bed. But we've had actually the opposite sort of thing from the developers. So and even contractors, like people who, in Wellington's contracting market is incredibly big and powerful, and they run the show. And even contractors saying, no, this is great because I don't like doing that. It's like, if someone's going into a contract and saying, okay, well, we had 6 months for you to migrate 600 tables out of a Postgres database into a SQL Server one, they're going to go, oh, really? Well, they can say, look, click, done. Now I can focus on the interesting stuff.
Let's get on with the action.
Let's get on with the action. So it's really decreasing that, the manual aspect of it. And as developers, we love solving puzzles, we love solving problems, and interesting puzzles are good, not, data compatibilities but exciting. So, I think the developers are talking thing, it makes their work a lot more, they can focus on what's more important to them, I guess.
No, similar story. I would always, when talking about moving to the cloud, it was but that's what I do, and it's like, well, you can now go and do the real stuff. Don't worry about that. Yes. Where to next? I mean, it seems like a very young company, but having spoken to an awful lot of other people, particularly young startups, you seem quite a mature company as well. It's not. You seem but also the company seems more mature than its years around. I'm assuming therefore the plans galore. Where to next with Eightwire?
Really, the next plans for us are we want to take what we've learned in the last year and a half and build on that. So what started off as a point-to-point data movement, data migration, we've kind of said, okay, let's look one level higher to really being smart around moving data. So doing things like basically drag and drop integration. So dragging an entire pile of folders, for example, into a browser, and it just goes and figures out what goes where, and then automatically starts pushing them off, that kind of thing.
Automatically.
Love
it. Very great.
Behind the scenes,
when does that come out?
later on this year.
That's good enough.
Good. No, we were aiming to have version 2 of it out this year. So what we did was we kind of came up with 4 themes for features, and then over the last 18 months talking to people, we're getting all these suggestions. We go, okay, well, let's try and fit these into these themes. And if they work, we're going to do that. And if not, we'll park it till later, or we'll do it there. So a part of this as well that we want to do is really, when we go to customers, we don't want to kick off a holy war. We don't want someone to go, no, we have something else that does this, and then you get the architects get their periods out of whack and everything. And it's all just a pain. So
that is a holy war. You see it all the time. I realise the fractions,
Yeah, they are, absolutely. So So what we want to do is basically build Gig Conductor to where it actually works in with those existing legacy applications. So we can say, we do this around what you have at the moment. We can feed metadata to that. We can consume metadata. We can trigger downstream and upstream process and everything. And we just make the whole thing work better. You know, we're not interested in coming in and saying, right, you need to rip out, you know, the years of code that you've done working with whatever you have. Keep that. That's fine. That's okay. You know, we'll just make it all work better.
Yeah.
And along the way, really, our goal is to define a new space, basically, for software.
Yeah.
So, and just define that sort of, we're still working through what names through it, but that sort of data management, agile data management, or kind of space where there isn't anything like that at the moment.
Yeah. No, you're right, there isn't. And there's been lots of attempts to do that. I mean, years ago, I worked for Business Objects, and their universe was an attempt to give consumers, to be fair, quite really, the ability to go, I don't care what your database thing is, where it is, I'll get the data out. Yeah, sort of works.
Yeah.
And this is a similar attempt, but on a much wider, grander scale, which is stuff.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to move back into the actual BI stuff, or is it always going to be behind that, I suppose, moving data around so that the tools themselves go?
Yeah. I think for us, we probably wouldn't go back into BI.
Yeah.
What we are planning on doing is giving BI capabilities to our customers, but it's for the analytics of what the application is doing.
Oh, I see.
So our customer can see, they can build their dashboards of what ran when and where, and critical path analysis, and as we're adding more features around data profiling and data analysis and that sort of thing, the customers can actually, pipe that information into their own BI solution, or they'd have their own there to kind of see what the application's doing. The BI space is really, really crowded.
It is at the moment, isn't it?
Really, there's a lot of money going into it. There's a lot of competitors in there. We kind of thought about could we do start getting into that sort of space, and then we just thought, it's too much. There's too much happening. It's too big, and I think we would lose a bit of our differentiation.
I was going to say, I mean, you obviously do something that no one else seems to be doing at the moment, and moving data, that's what we do. And everything else, look, you guys, whoever you are.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, exactly. We'll work with BI, and at that point, we could easily, support BI. So things like, talent data sets or that sort of thing. So if companies have specific data sets for their vendors, then we can look at supporting those. But I don't see us getting into the analytics area.
Got one last, it's not a technical question, it's one last question from the product point of view. So do you do cloud to cloud?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I've got data sitting in something, I can.
Yep.
How does that work? Because you can't go and put the connectors on it.
For those,
you have your own hosted ones.
Yeah. So what we'd actually have is a lot of the great thing about this cloud was the connector is there just because we're dealing with legacy systems behind firewalls and old slow networks. Cloud Stuff's fantastic because it has APIs and they're nicely documented and they're supported. So, for example, if you wanted to say push from say a cloud version of MongoDB into Redshift on S3, all you would need to do is enter in your login details to Mongo and Redshift, and then we would handle the rest.
Wow.
So our application fires off all the REST calls to Mongo to get your data out. You can still have the wizard, I want to move this, I want to do it over there, fix these errors along the way, thank you, I'm going to go get a coffee. And then we are moving everything else.
Just beavers around in the background while you go do something important.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
It is really cool.
So the cloud stuff for us has been, I'm quite glad that we started off with the local things first, because that was really hard.
Got it out of the way.
Then we got that out of the way, and then we started working with the cloud side and going, this is a piece of cake, and then we can just start knocking out cloud connectors. Really
More down and this is so simple.
It's so simple, this is sane. This is
what it should be. So is this the first time you've owned a company?
Yeah.
What's that been like? What's it like? What is it like?
What is it like?
What has been like?
It's fantastic, actually. I don't know if I'd have a hard time going back to consulting, I think, and going back to services. I'm really enjoying I hate it when people say they love their jobs. It's like, how do you love your job? It's a job, but it is a lot of fun.
But
I'm having a time of my life.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm working in IT for years. I always felt like I worked with some rock star, world class IT guys, and there's nothing worse than working with them and knowing you're never going to be like that.
Yes.
It's like, why am I doing this? This isn't me.
Yeah.
And but this is the first doing this role and running a company and doing this kind of thing for me feels like, oh, this is what I'm doing all right. I feel like it's coming to me naturally, and it's feeling quite good. So.
Very cool. That's very cool.
So where can we find your auto magicness online?
The best place is on our site, which is www.eightwire.com, which is EIGHT-WIRE. If you go to a brewery, you've gone too far. Just turn around and go back.
Have you talked with those guys?
No. However, there's a story about that.
Okay.
So the day we resigned, it was very nerve-wracking for the two of us. We worked together. We're like, basically, we're going into our bosses, our company, and kind of saying, yeah, we're not going to be here anymore. Sorry, we're making a product. Thanks, bye-bye.
They may one day replace you.
Yeah.
They haven't figured that one out.
Yeah.
So you don't need to tell them that right now.
No, they figured that out pretty quick though. But anyway, so we went in, and straight after that I was like, I need a beer. I need to relax in some way. So we went to Fork and Brewer, which is right next to where I worked, and they had just opened because it was noon. So we kind of went in and like, I asked the bartender, what would you recommend for two guys who just quit their day jobs to run a startup? And he said, well, Eightwire have a superconductor, which is about 8.5%. Like, that'll do.
Yes, that'll.
So that was
Excellent.
the namesake brewery, and became our first beer of freedom.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You guys should hook up.
We should.
You should.
I think we should. And it's funny because every now and then someone will say, oh yeah, we've heard about you guys, you're doing really well, and I have to qualify and say,
Which of them?
the beer or the IT company? 9 times out of 10 it's the beer.
Well,
that's okay.
You're not a consumer product.
Exactly.
Probably never will be. There's no reason why anyone should have heard of you, really, unless you work in those large companies.
Someone wants to borrow a cup of data or something, maybe.
Exactly, yeah.
I think everybody hearing this, and we should try and connect you guys up. And even if there's a, hey, you probably come to the wrong place link that goes around, then isn't it?
That's pretty cool.
Looking for data?
Yeah. Data beer.
Yeah, data beer. Yeah, exactly.
Like a road sign.
Yeah.
Between two places that have nothing to do with each other.
Exactly. So, we can find you on there and on the Twitters yourself.
Yep. So I tweeted myself as under handle Running Pockets. It's a long story. But we also have a company Twitter page and blogs and all sorts of things. So, and our goal over the next 8 months or so, we're going to be doing a feature release every month.
Cool.
So every month we're rolling something out. By the time this thing is online, our support for Amazon will be up. So we support the entire AWS stack. So DynamoDB, S3, Redshift. We support the entire IBM stack. So Netezza, DB2, Cloud, you name it. So as we're adding connectors and things like that, we're going to be just allowing anybody to move anything between anything.
So
kind of thing.
it's years ago, Google App Engine, or what they call it nowadays, and then that's probably it. You've got not to
and we've got Azure as well.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So then he pretty much owns the internet.
Yeah,
All right.
that's fantastic. Well, go to the website and hear the updates as they come. Thank you so much, Jason. That was fantastic.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks.
We'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks, bye. Thanks.
Right, now you're on the mic with Mike.
On the mic with Mike. So there we sat with Jason in Victoria Cafe, that was. It was very nice. I got myself a lime milkshake. And I was thinking all the way through that of how interesting it is that people who you would have met previously working in suits can always take the leap to go, this can be better. And it's fascinating to hear Jason talk about we're going to go and have a beer and we're going to do it. And they just did it. And I think that's a fantastic lesson for everybody.
So, Mike, what's coming up next week?
So next week we have two people who have made a big difference in management, but have now moved to Auckland to shake things up there. We've got Brenda Lewinberg and Sandy Mamoli. Fantastic interview.
Oh, look forward to that. And of course, find us on the social networks. Look for the podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+.
For now,
Or chat to myself at NZRaj, or...
me at Miramar Mike.
And if you're desperate to email us on accessgranted at #me.co.nz. And for all the other hashtag goodness, the updates, news, prizes, and much, much more, go to #me.co.nz's website.
Fantastic website. Thanks for your time, and see you next Tuesday with the Kiwi tech people sharing their own stories. Ka kite anō.
#me.co.nz